Wild. You can hear that engine from a mile away, Fran.
And he's foregoing the driveway and heading right up the lawn and over the azaleas. What a power move.
But if you've got an insurance question, you can always count on your local Geico agent. They can bundle your policies, which could save you hundreds.
With 6-foot tires and a roll cage, this pizza guy could quite literally crush the competition.
For expert help with all your insurance needs, visit geico.com/local today.
You're listening to 1050 ESPN, your home for New York Islanders hockey. WEPN, New York, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
Now on SportsCenter all night. Derek Carr is marching his way to New Orleans.
This is a perfect guy for a guy like Chris Olave to take his game to the next level. This is a perfect guy for a guy like Rashid Shaheed to take his game to the next level. You're talking about 2 second-year players that are dynamic wide receivers that are going to have a guy who's going to be invested, who's going to be there, who knows how to win.
Ja will be away from the Grizzlies indefinitely.
Essentially, the league investigation just started on Saturday. This is not the first time that they've investigated allegations around John Morant with a possible firearm.
Plus, are you ready to dance?
Furman pulls the sword from the stone, and the Paladins are dancing for the first time in 43 years.
This is SportsCenter all night.
In the midst of the storm, I think that was a valiant effort, but there's no more victories in it. Like we got to win games.
Here's Jay Reynolds.
You know how you win games? Free throws. SportsCenter all night, ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80. Yeah, the former number one team in the East continues to struggle. The still number one team in the West were struggling in the fourth on Monday. Nuggets were down by a half dozen to the Raptors with just over 2 minutes to go, but
Reggie Jackson has it on the high right side. Top of the key to Murray. Turns the corner to Jokic. Floater in the paint. Good. More of that, please. 99-93. Nuggets within a half a dozen. Second free throw for Joker to put Denver back in the lead. Got it. 114-113 Denver.
now it's on Altitude Radio Network. Nuggets rally for the 118-113 win over Toronto. They end the game on a 13-2 run in the final 2 minutes and 15 seconds of the fourth quarter. They trailed by a half dozen prior to that. Nuggets 24-1 in their last 25 home games. The lone loss was a 2-point loss to the Thunder on January 22nd when Nikola Jokic did not play. Jokic in this one, 17 points, 13 rebounds, 9 assists. Snapped a streak of 10 straight home games with a triple-double. Speaking of triple-doubles, the one that Giannis Antetokounmpo got Sunday night? Giannis had reached the triple-double in the closing seconds. Game in hand, they were up 6, grabbed a defensive rebound with about 9 seconds to go. That gave him 9 rebounds on the night, so he hustled the ball down the court, got near the rim the Bucks were shooting at, hesitated, and then intentionally threw the ball off the bottom of the rim, caught it. There's rebound number 10. Monday, the NBA said, no, because for a field goal attempt to count as official, the player has to shoot with the intent of scoring a field goal. So the association adjusts the stats and rescinds the triple-double. Milwaukee, of course, top team in the East currently. The number 2 spot belongs to the Celtics, who have been struggling to close out games the past few days. Monday against the Cavs, Boston led by as much as 15. But it was tight in the closing seconds.
Pritchard all the way to the basket, lays it up, tipped up by Grant Williams. Foul. And did they call the foul? They did. Yes. It's a foul with no time left. Grant with 1 for the lead. He stares, dribbles once, fires. He missed both. Tipped up low at the buzzer, and we are going to overtime.
98.5, the Sports Hub. Celtics don't close it out in regulation. And the Cavs take advantage in OT.
Donovan Mitchell into the forecourt. Mitchell with a stutter step, got by Brockett.
Stuffed it out! Oh, my! Wow!
what a play by Donovan Mitchell. Gives him 40 on the night. I'm speechless. Levert against Brogdon. Levert, left corner. Stevens, 3 on the way. Bullseye! Cavaliers up 114 to 112. 2:05 to go.
Cavaliers win it by 4. 118-114 in overtime. WTAM with the calls. Donovan Mitchell, 40-point game, his 8th 40-point game of the season, most by a player in their first season with a team since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the 1969-1970 season. Celtics, meanwhile, lose again. They're the third team to lose 3 straight games when leading by 14 or more in each one. In their last 3, Celtics have blown a 28-point lead to the Nets, did that on Friday, a 14-point lead to the Knicks on Sunday, and, of course, Monday's loss to the Cavs, where they led by 15. Jaylen Brown, 32 in the loss.
In the midst of the storm, I think that was a valiant effort, but there's no moral victories in it. Like we got to win games, period, and I got to be better. There's spots in overtime and through the game. I feel like I rushed some shots, and I wish I could have back. But overall, we just have to have a fighter's mentality, and we got to play to win.
Jaylen Brown, 32 points, 13 rebounds, 9 assists. An assist shy of a triple-double. Celtics, 11 overtime games this season, tied for their most in a single season since 2012. Another 8 games on schedule for Tuesday, including the Grizzlies and Lakers in L.A. Memphis, of course, won't have Ja Morant for that one, just as the case was for Sunday's loss to the Clippers. ESPN's Michelle Steele.
Tonight, the Memphis Grizzlies are in Los Angeles preparing for the Lakers. Ja Morant is not. The All-Star guard away from his team for an indefinite period of time as the league and now police are investigating what he did live on his own Instagram in the early morning hours Saturday. Holding up what looked like a gun at a Glendale, Colorado nightclub hours after the team's loss to the Nuggets in Denver Friday night. The NBA collective bargaining agreement explicitly bans players from possessing a firearm while at an NBA facility or traveling for league business. ESPN can also confirm the Glendale Police Department is investigating his actions. Morant said he's going to take time away to get help. Memphis coach Taylor Jenkins saying there is no fixed timetable for his return.
We're taking it one day at a time. I mean, this is going to be an ongoing healing process. He understands he's got to get help to get into a better place, not just for himself, but also for his team. And, he's definitely embracing, the mistakes that he's made, but only time will tell. We're going to support him, as I said, and we're going to hold him accountable to make those changes.
We're a big family. We're wrapping our arms around him, and, we got full support and, showing our love to him for sure right now.
The latest incident comes amid other troubling allegations, including punching a 17-year-old and flashing a gun last summer, threatening the head of security at a Memphis mall, and riding in an SUV that pointed a laser at the Pacers team bus, with one Indiana staffer believing the laser was attached to a gun. Nike is standing by Morant for now. Meantime, the league's investigation is ongoing. While he has not been charged or accused of a crime, Morant's own coach says the Grizzlies star has made difficult decisions and poor choices. I'm Michelle Steele, ESPN.
And as expected, there's been plenty of reaction from around the association given the situation with Ja Morant and the Grizzlies. ESPN analyst Vince Carter.
It's a very unfortunate situation, and if I had the opportunity to talk to Ja and the people around him, I would say you have to think this through, because you are, like you said, transcending. You are a huge asset, not only to the Memphis Grizzlies, to the NBA, and you have a lot of followers. And with social media like it is today, everything is instant, as we know. So you have to be careful how you move, whether we like it or not.
And as for the value aspect for Ja Morant, ESPN insider Brian Windhorst.
Ja Morant's value to Memphis, value to the Grizzlies franchise cannot be put in a number. They very well could go another 40 years and never see a player of this quality and this value to them. He has to understand that. I know he understands it because he got a $200 million contract for them. There is an immense amount invested in Ja Morant because he is such a special player. And all of that is on the line. And so he obviously didn't get this good without making some good decisions. So when you see that, he has got to start to make good decisions.
And decisions to be made at the NBA level as well. John Morant will not be on the floor for the Grizzlies for their game on Tuesday. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio.
The big story, the first huge shoe has fallen. Derek Carr is a Saint.
AFC is loaded with great quarterback. The NFC, not so much. Saints were 7-10 last year. Drew Brees walking through that door? No, he's not walking through that door. Derek Carr's walking through that door.
Tuesday's decision day for teams when it comes to franchise tags. A couple of prominent quarterbacks are in that picture. Derek Carr, meanwhile, was a free agent, and he will no longer be a pawn in this offseason game. He agrees to a deal in New Orleans, 4 years, up to $100 million in guarantees. ESPN insider Adam Schefter.
New Orleans prioritized Derek Carr. After the Raiders released him and allowed him to go visit, that was the one place that he spent a couple of days going to visit. He's played before with the Saints head coach, Dennis Allen, who was part of the Oakland Raiders organization when they drafted Derek Carr out of college. Now, those two men will be reunited again. He had interest from the Carolina Panthers. He had interest from the Jets, but clearly he wanted to go to New Orleans to play in an NFC South division right now that's lacking in quality starting quarterbacks, that essentially is in a position where the Saints can win that division, and the Saints had a good enough offer on the table. It's a 4-year deal, but it's really going to be about a 2-year, $60 million contract. He can make more in the third year of the deal. The fourth year of the deal is backloaded, so it really amounts to a 2 or 3 year deal.
And as Adam mentioned, Derek Carr, familiar with the coaching in New Orleans, ESPN analyst Herm Edwards.
That's not surprising. I think Dennis Allen drafted this young man. He feels like with him, this will help their offense. Defensively, they're very good. It's a conference really that's looking for quarterbacks, right? This is the quarterback conference. There'll probably be 2 rookies in this conference that play quarterback, right? And so you look at a team right now that they feel no different than the Jets defensively. Everyone said if Derek Carr went to the Jets, they'd be much improved, right? That's what they said. That's what everybody was saying. Well, now he's going to the Saints and the NFC. And remember this, the AFC is loaded with great quarterbacks, with great quarterbacks. The NFC, not so much. Got some good quarterbacks, but the AFC has all the potential big-time quarterbacks. So I look at it as it's an upgrade for the Saints. They got to feel like, you know what? We're the favorite to win a division. That'll be interesting to watch this thing unfold.
A lot of decisions to be made in the coming weeks and months, and that, of course, includes the draft. Todd McShay's latest mock draft 3.0 will be released this morning. You'll hear from him 9:30 Eastern time on KJM right here on ESPN Radio. Right now, Sports Center all night. And speaking of decisions to be made, Tuesday is the deadline for franchise tags. Monday, the Cowboys used the tag on running back Tony Pollard. It's worth just over $10 million. ESPN analyst Sam Acho.
Obviously had a breakout year last year, over 1,000 rushing yards. And if they're still considering keeping Ezekiel Elliott, the tag for a running back is a lot less than the tag for a quarterback. It's $10 million. For a quarterback, it depends on what kind of tag you use, 32 or 45. And so it's a very smart move to keep a player who was making less than $1 million last year, but a player who has explosive talent for your offense. And still, if you want to keep Zeke, you could still have that 1-2 punch with the offense. So I think it's a great move, smart tag, especially because he's a running back.
And as for what that move means for Ezekiel Elliott, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler.
His future is in doubt. Now, the Cowboys, I'm told, wanted to figure out Tony Pollard's situation before they pivoted to Ezekiel Elliott's contract situation, which is crucial because he's due a $16.7 million cap hit. So that's nearly $30 million at just the running back position. That is untenable. So they have to do something. The expectation league-wide is that he could return to the Cowboys, but it would probably have to be on a reduced salary or a reward contract. It's uncertain whether he would go for that. Keep in mind, the Cowboys are trying to be sensitive here because this is a legacy player there. He's played out $50 million of that extension that he signed, still nearly 900 yards and 12 touchdowns in really a part-time role. So they value him. They want to keep him a Cowboy. It would have to be at the right number.
Cowboys tag Tony Pollard. Chiefs won't tag Orlando Brown again, opening the door for him to be a free agent unless they work out a new contract by Monday. Veteran defensive end Frank Clark expected to be released. In Baltimore, it's going right up to the deadline. Ravens Vice President Ozzie Newsome says on the Bernie Kosar show that talks on a long-term deal with Lamar Jackson will continue, quote, until 3:30 Tuesday. And if an agreement isn't reached, the team will franchise the quarterback, ESPN analyst Dan Orlovsky.
Let's look at this from Lamar's perspective, okay? If the Ravens decide to place the non-exclusive franchise tag on him, Lamar has been everything for this organization since they drafted him in the first round. From his perspective, since they've drafted him, Kyler Murray got $190 million guaranteed. Deshaun Watson, coming off of awful off-the-field allegations, got $230+ million guaranteed from the Cleveland Browns. And Tua Tagovailoa got Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Josh Allen got Stephon Diggs. Lamar Jackson's going to get the non-exclusive franchise tag, and they drafted Rashad Bateman? What? How can Lamar sit there and be okay with that situation?
Meanwhile, big questions in Baltimore. There's also questions in New York. Giants have decisions to make between Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. Deadline for franchise tags, 4 o'clock Eastern on Tuesday. Coming up, something we have not seen since the Jimmy Carter administration. That's next. Sports Center all night at ESPN Radio.
Coming up Tuesday, Anthony Richardson may have put on a show at the NFL Combine, but did C.J. Stroud from Ohio State establish himself as the best quarterback in this year's draft? Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, 6 a.m. Eastern, ESPN Radio, ESPN2, ESPNU.
This is Sports Center all night.
Are you working way too hard for way too little? There's never been a better time to consider a career in IT. You could enjoy a recession-resistant career in a rewarding field with plenty of growth opportunities and often flexible work environments. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. You could start your new career in months, not years. Take classes online or on campus, and financial aid is available to qualified students, including the GI Bill. Now is the time. mycomputercareer.edu.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone, America's #1 brakes destination. We have the pads, rotors, drums, shoes, and brake fluids to improve your stopping power. Right now, save 15% when you get any 2 Duralast rotors with a set of Duralast brake pads. Missing a tool? Ask about our free Loan-A-Tool program and borrow the tools you need to get the job done.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the MPD Group 2021. Deposit required for Loan-A-Tool.
The Bart and Hahn Show.
This is not the Knicks that you grew up with. This is more like your father's Knicks. And your father's Knicks had an assistant coach on its bench, and his name was Tom Thibodeau. The coach that everybody wanted to run out of town in early December. And right now you have a team that is absolutely humming, and you love watching this. And this is the most fun that you have had watching the Knicks team in a decade and maybe more.
Bart Scott and Alan Hahn. Weekdays at noon on 98.7 ESPN.
Anyone who has ever needed self-storage knows what a hassle it can be. You have to rent or borrow a truck and then find someone to help you move your stuff. And let's face it, moving furniture and heavy items without damaging them isn't easy. Renting the unit is worse. The hidden fees and admin costs are scarier than the dingy facilities you're leaving your stuff in. Why not use Closet Box instead? Closet Box is self-storage without leaving home. They'll pick up your belongings, store them securely, and bring any item back when you need it. The best part? Unlike traditional self-storage, you only pay for what you store. No paying for unused storage space. Closet Box's background check storage movers are licensed, bonded, and insured and will take care of all of the heavy lifting. Closet Box's local storage centers are temperature controlled and monitored 24/7. Closet Box has an A+ rating from the BBB. Call 877-233-5696 now for the season's best rates. Get $50 off first month storage using code RADIO50. That's 877-233-5696. 877-233-5696.
I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I love Navage. I've told you about how your nose is the body's air filter, that Navage's powered suction will help flush out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, and that Navage will help you breathe better. But what do other people say about Navage? Like Josh, quote, "After walking around my whole life being a mouth breather, I was excited to try Navage. I read the directions carefully, pressed the button, and oh my gosh, what a sensation. So much mucus, so much crud, but oh sweet, merciful air, I can finally breathe you through my nose. Never have I ever taken such an amazing breath in my life. This is a life changer," unquote. He's one of over 100,000 online reviews praising Navage, the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million people to help you breathe breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Target, Rite Aid, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose, healthy life.
Hello there. My name is Seychelle, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is the punch of flavors that's unlike any other. You get the crispy tenderness of the chicken and that hint of sourness from the pickles. Ta-da!
Hey, I'm Juan, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is you're going to get chicken that's crispy, golden, and juicy. This is the gold standard of chicken sandwiches.
Order the original Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real customers paid for their testimonials.
Don't miss the #1 rated afternoon drive show in New York. It's the Michael K. Show, and it's every weekday at 2:55 on 98.7 ESPN.
Sports Center All Night continues with Jay Reynolds.
What else would we expect to see in the WCC? That's straight ahead. Sports Center All Night. Automatic berths on the line Monday. Women's side, Big East.
Mule in the backcourt. Stop and go dribble. Loops at the FUD. And that will do it. UConn, a perfect 3 for 3 in their return to the Big East. And once again, the top dogs come from Storrs for the 21st time they win the Big East tournament.
Bob Joyce on Learfield. UConn a 67-56 win over Villanova as they head back to the NCAA tournament. 34th NCAA tournament appearance, all consecutive under Gino Auriemma. James Madison captures the Sun Belt, a 30-point rout of Texas State. James Madison's first NCAA tournament appearance since 2016. On the men's side, a night for celebration in the Southern Conference.
JP across midcourt gives it to Slauson with 3 seconds, with 2, and for the first time since 1980, Furman Purple reigns in the Southern Conference. The Furman Paladins are going to the NCAA tournament.
Purple reigns in the Southern Conference. Purple Rain wasn't until the mid-'80s either. Upstate 97.7 FM. Furman, though, clinches its 7th overall tournament appearance, first since 1980, an 88-79 win over Chattanooga. First berth since 1980. Their head coach, Bob Ritchie, was born in 1983. Ritchie earlier on ESPN Radio.
You get to that moment, you think you're going to be running around, and like I was so emotional. Like, I just stood there, and my kids, my wife came, and I'll be honest with you, like, we just were all crying. And there was just a lot of emotion that came out that was pretty raw. But it's just an incredible story. And I'm a big believer that, pain's a part of life. And sometimes we kind of run from it. We try to avoid it. But sometimes if you embrace it, like it can do something. It can stretch you in a way, and it can help you grow in a way that you really couldn't have grown without it.
Furman, the 5th different school in the last 5 seasons to win the SoCon tournament. In the Sun Belt.
And there is the horn. There is the confetti. Bob Marlin, may we have this dance. The Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns are headed back to the NCAA tournament. And those of you listening at home, feel free to start dancing on your furniture right now.
Jay Walker from Learfield, Louisiana. A 71-66 win over the 8 seed South Alabama, which put up a fight, just didn't have quite enough as Louisiana gets the win to capture the Sun Belt, their 11th NCAA tournament appearance, first since 2014. The aforementioned head coach, Bob Marlin.
Well, it's important. I mean, I've done this a long time, and this is, my 4th trip, I think, to the tournament. Mm-hmm. And we got to go win a game. That's our goal. We're going to go win, and we feel like we've got a team that can advance. We had a great team a couple of years ago in 2018, and we were 26-4, and then got upset in the semifinals and went to NIT, and they shipped us over to LSU, and we lost that game by 8. But it feels good to get back to the tournament.
Bob Marlin on Freddie and Fitzsimmons here on ESPN Radio, Sports Center all night. Tuesday, we will have the final of the West Coast Conference. Semifinal action on Monday, seeing the top 2 seeds ultimately advancing.
St. Mary's could use a bucket here, Dave, with 4.5 minutes to go, leading by 8.
Dukas open from the left side for three. It's good. Big shot for Alex Dukas to make this an 11-point game again.
St. Mary's Radio Network. St. Mary's outlasts BYU 76-69 to advance to the final, their fourth tournament final appearance in the last 5 seasons. And in the final, it'll be the matchup of the top 2 seeds. St. Mary's the number 1. They move in, as does the 2 seed as Gonzaga pulls away from San Francisco.
Here's Smith into the front court to Craig behind the play. Bounces to Timmy, who calls for it. Defended by Markovetsky. Faces up on him, dribbles into the paint, gets up a hook, and hits. 2 more for Timmy, 67-59.
Tom Hudson from Learfield drew Timmy 17 points. Zags ultimately win by 11. 84-73 sets up yet another showdown between Gonzaga and St. Mary's for the conference title. WCC's championship game, 9 o'clock Eastern in Las Vegas. You'll see it on ESPN. On the ice, Oilers a 3-2 win over the Sabres. Connor McDavid does it again. 2 goals. He has 54 this season, his 250th career multi-goal game. Blackhawks shut out the Senators 5-0. Ottawa's 5-game win streak comes to an end as they're shut out for the 4th time this season. It's a good quarterback coach fit, and it will continue. That's next. Sports Center all night at ESPN Radio.
Hey, it's Greeny, and there couldn't possibly be more going on. The quarterbacks have started to move in NFL free agency. The carousel is spinning, plus the NBA is in its stretch run. We're the place to talk about it all. It's Greeny, starting 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-511-3535. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems. And if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider, 800-511-3535. That's 800-511-3535. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with, call Big Lou at 800-511-3535.
Mornings with DiPietro and Rothenberg.
Today's the day. Get into the Rangers 90. Did you say, by the way, you didn't wear underwear today? Yeah, because I knew today was the day. Pants are coming down. It's perfect. If there's a God in heaven, you will go down to Starbucks.
Be escorted out of the building. People think he is an escort. He may go down there and get tips. I may get some work.
You might. What am I offering? The views. I haven't seen views like this. Very nice.
DiPietro and Rothenberg. Morning 6 to 10 on 98.7 ESPN.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-687-5192. That's 800-687-5192. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-687-5192.
I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I love Navage. I've told you about how your nose is the body's air filter, that Navage's powered suction will help flush out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, and that Navage will help you breathe better. But what do other people say about Navage? Like Tara, quote, "My doctor wanted me to do saline rinses for my allergies, but I've never been able to successfully use a neti pot. Navage uses suction power, so it's foolproof. There are nights when I'll have particularly bothersome allergies. I'll bust it out, and the results are immediate. It's such a relief. It's become a lifesaver." Unquote. She's one of over 100,000 online reviews praising Navage, the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million people to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at...
Sir is worth celebrating. We celebrate every life saved by donating to save another.
It may not save my life. It may save someone you love.
Because of all the donations, mine is one of the lives that's been saved.
Life is worth celebrating. That's why ESPN and the V Foundation will never give up. Please give. Learn more at v.org.
The biggest names, the biggest games. They're all right here. This is 1050 ESPN, New York.
Sports Center All Night continues with Jay Reynolds.
Sports Center All Night presented by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career you'll love with flexibility, great pay and benefits, and one of the country's top workplaces? Join their growing team. Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today.
Half-hour headlines on Sports Center All Night.
Celtics blow a double-digit lead and lose for a third straight game. Furman in Louisiana punching their tickets to the men's tournament. UConn wins another conference championship, capturing the Big East. Coming up Tuesday afternoon, the deadline for franchise tags in the NFL.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is that we have a deadline tomorrow at 4 o'clock to put the tag on. And I know today and up until about 3:30 tomorrow, a lot of energy is going to be utilized in trying to get the deal done. And if not, we will put the franchise tag on him.
Ravens Vice President Ozzie Newsome on the Bernie Kosar Show. If it gets to that point with the tag, there are two options, the exclusive and the non-exclusive. Earlier on, Fitz and Harry.
If they non-exclusive franchise tag him, I am making a historic offer that minute. 1 minute later saying, here's history, let the Ravens match it. The Ravens' only approach to non-exclusive has to be that they're going to match absolutely anything. And if that's where they are, then why get to this point in the negotiation? I can't make it make sense.
Why would you non-exclusive tag Lamar Jackson when you look in the AFC and you see all those quarterbacks that you have? Now, if you want to part ways with Lamar Jackson, I would exclusive tag him and try to do a sign and trade with somebody, if that's the route you want to go. Because I'm just going to lay it out. So Deshaun Watson, when he went to the Cleveland Browns, right, from the Houston Texans, the Houston Texans received a 2022, 2023, 2024 first-round draft pick. They also got a 2023 third-round draft pick and a 2024 fourth-round draft pick. So that's 5 draft picks, 3 in the first round, 1 in the third, 1 in the fourth. Why in the hell would I non-exclusively tag Lamar Jackson and let other people go see if, they want Lamar Jackson on their team and potentially could give him more money, and then I only get 2 first-round draft picks in return?
So a heavy decision to be made in Baltimore on Tuesday. ESPN analyst Herm Edwards.
I'm not letting anybody bid on this guy. I'm not letting anybody set the bar because it sets a bad precedent in your locker room, a very bad precedent. This is a star player. You built this whole team around this guy, and now you're willing to let some other teams bid on him and saying, you know what, if it's too much, you know what, we'll take the 2 picks and we'll go get Anthony Richardson and start all over with a young quarterback. When you let him go out there and you let somebody else bid on him, you're opening a can of worms. I'm just saying, you're opening a can of worms because all those players are looking at that and going, this dude has been the star of this football team. And this is how they're going to treat him?
That's the situation in Baltimore, where Lamar Jackson acts as his own agent. We'll see what is able to be accomplished by Tuesday afternoon, if anything. Not just Baltimore. Spotlight also on New York, where the Giants are trying to work through their situation. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler.
The Giants have been negotiating feverishly with Daniel Jones's representatives over the last week, trying to hammer out a deal, which over 4 years would be in excess of $160 million, maybe more, depending on where they land. But I'm told the Giants have a big offer, a big number on the table. That number could include a 4 in the front of it, so we'll see how things shake out. But they have the artificial deadline up until 4 o'clock on Tuesday, the franchise tag deadline. If the Giants can't reach an agreement with Jones, they are expected to tag him at that $32 million number. That leaves questions around Saquon Barkley, who would be set to hit free agency in about 6 days after that. They would risk losing him. They want to keep both in a perfect world, but it's going to be tough.
Giants have decisions to be made by Tuesday afternoon. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio. Then there are a couple of quarterbacks no longer in the mix this offseason. In Seattle, Geno Smith agreeing to a 3-year deal, $105 million. It includes $52 million in the first year, according to sources. ESPN's Adam Schefter.
Nobody thought that Geno Smith would be leaving Seattle. Everybody expected him to be back with the Seahawks. Now, he could have been out there on the free agent market if he didn't get the franchise tag by tomorrow's 4 p.m. Eastern deadline. But the fact of the matter is, I think the league-wide assumption all along was that Geno Smith and the Seahawks were a marriage made for each other. It worked out great this past year when he won the Comeback Player of the Year, and most people expected that relationship to continue into this next year, which it now will with this 3-year contract extension.
Good situation between quarterback and head coach in Seattle. Stacey Ross from Seattle Sports 710.
I think that with Pete Carroll, the pairing was perfect in terms of a quarterback who maybe needed someone to really believe in him, and frankly, a head coach who really, really liked the idea, my interpretation, of someone who believed in this program, right? I mean, you had seen Pete Carroll at odds philosophically with Russell Wilson for who knows how many years. And here's Geno coming in as a guy that's completely bought in. Heard from a couple people that Geno was much more involved. Like literally, there was a reporter who told me he would walk into the locker room and Geno would be in there like playing cards with the wide receivers. And I think that there is, I would imagine, a camaraderie that comes with actually being in that room and putting yourself in there with those guys. So as far as the players, though, received really well. I did not get the impression early in the offseason that, it was like, Geno's a sure thing, he's a leader. But I knew people liked him. And I think you could see that early. I think it was after Denver when he and DK and Tyler all came up to the stage. It was one of those home games. You never saw that with Russ. So I do think there's a camaraderie there that has frankly been missing for a couple years.
And Geno Smith will be staying in Seattle with the Seahawks. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio. We did have a quarterback on the move Monday.
Breaking news on the quarterback front. Derek Carr signing with the New Orleans Saints.
All of a sudden, this team that's 7-10 last year, now they have a quarterback.
On paper, it makes a ton of sense. It's an upgrade for the Saints. They got to feel like, you know what? We're the favorite to win the division.
Yes, right now the New Orleans Saints are sitting in a great position because, number one, they do have a defense that has been dominant.
Derek Carr has been in the National Football League for 9 years and does not have one single playoff victory.
But he is going to the Saints, trying to resurrect the career there in New Orleans. ESPN analyst Louis Riddick. Good fit.
This is a perfect guy for a guy like Chris Olave to take his game to the next level. This is a perfect guy for a guy like Rashid Shaheed to take his game to the next level. You're talking about 2 second-year players that are dynamic wide receivers that are going to have a guy who's going to be invested, who's going to be there, who knows how to win. Look, I don't care what you say about Derek Carr. He knows how to win, and he has the support of a very good defense now and a head coach who's familiar with him from his days with the Raiders when he was there, Dennis Allen, when they drafted Derek Carr. I love the fit. He's the best quarterback in the division already.
Good fit in New Orleans with the Saints, according to our Louis Riddick. Our Stephen A. Smith says, pump the brakes.
Somebody got to say it, so I'm going to say it. Saints were 7-10 last year. Drew Brees walking through that door? No, he's not walking through that door. Okay, Derek Carr's walking through that door. Derek Carr has been in the National Football League for 9 years and does not have one single playoff victory to show for it. I am in no way trying to imply that Derek Carr cannot play. I'm not calling him a scrub. I would never disrespect him like that. I'm not doing anything like that. He's a good dude. He's a leader. In terms of, we know what he went through when John Gruden got himself pushed out of the National Football League with that whole mess in Las Vegas last season. We get all of that. But the fact of the matter is that we're talking about Derek Carr. We were talking about it with the New York Jets. We were talking about him now with the New Orleans Saints. Come on, y'all. He has not. I'm not going to say he's not, because who knows what the future holds, but he has not been that dude.
So opinions on both sides of the fence as for what the future holds for the Saints with their new quarterback. Where can the Saints go from here? To the guys at PTI.
All right, Wilbon, what is the ceiling for the Saints with your boy Derek Carr?
Derek Carr's record
He won 44% of his games as a starter. Okay? 63 and 79, or 80 if you count one alleged playoff game. So that's what, that's 7.5 wins? So I'll round up to 8. 8 and 9 is the average. I don't know what the ceiling is. We don't know what the roster looks like. We don't know what their cap implications are. They haven't filled out their roster. They just got Derek Carr. It's the Saints. Let's think, not everything is important. All right, I'm trying to figure out where the Saints are going to be next January when we sit 10 months from that. Hardly high on my agenda.
Okay, well, that's a fair answer. Derek Carr, nobody has ever said that Derek Carr is like a top 6 or 8 quarterback. Nobody has ever said that. He has not demonstrated that he's a top 6 or 8 quarterback. But at the moment, Mike, I believe he is the best quarterback in an utterly rancid division because Tampa Bay does not have a quarterback at the moment. Atlanta does not have a quarterback at the moment. And Carolina does not have a quarterback
They'll
at
all
the
get
moment.
them. They'll all get quarterbacks.
They'll get somebody, but I'm not sure they'll be as good or better than Derek Carr. I believe a reasonable ceiling for the Saints with Derek Carr is to go from 7-10 to 10-7. Not to be a contender for the playoffs, yes. Not to be a contender for the Super Bowl, but I think in that division you can do that. And yeah, it's a long time away. I grant it's a long time away.
Yeah, long time away. And the Saints, as we've seen over their history, have plenty of time to screw up a lot of stuff.
1 second.
What?
Derek Carr was publicly humiliated by Josh McDaniels, who as a head coach has won absolutely nothing. He was publicly humiliated there. He loved playing for the Raiders, and he loved playing in Las Vegas. I think if you're going to go somewhere else, and you would probably agree to this, there's probably no better place to play football. Maybe it's good, but no better than New Orleans. I mean, that is a great place.
Seattle?
To be a football player. Yeah, I mean, there's a few as good.
Yeah, that's some great
places. If you're going to end up in New Orleans, you've ended up great. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
Saints had their quarterback in Derek Carr, who had been courted by a handful of teams, including, most notably, the New York Jets. So in New York, what now? ESPN insider Adam Schefter.
They were in on Derek Carr. So now you begin to look at the landscape, right? Aaron Rodgers still has not made a decision about whether he wants to play this year or where he wants to go. And that's a situation that the Jets obviously will be monitoring from afar. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be a free agent. He will be an option if and when free agency begins, if they haven't made a decision. Everybody's waiting to see what Aaron Rodgers now decides. I think there are more and more signs that point to the fact that Jordan Love is the likely starter in Green Bay in 2023. It's beginning to shape up that way. The Packers have been talking up Jordan Love. We don't have a decision yet on Aaron Rodgers, but everybody is waiting to see ultimately what he decides, whether he wants to play this year or whether he wants to walk away from the game this year. All options still in play.
Still questions to be answered in the NFL. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio, back to the NBA. And you like scoring? You have the Sixers and Pacers on Monday.
Indiana should get the last shot. Halliburton across the timeline. 3 seconds to go. A long one from left of center. And he buried it just before the expiration of time.
Milton is trapped. He throws it across to DeAnthony, and Melton throws it to Embiid, and Embiid is going to get a dunk. They got a little top heavy with their pressure. Nobody was back, and once the Sixers got it out of the trap, they got it down to Embiid, and he dunked it. Whoa.
Back and forth in this one, 97.5 The Fanatic, 1070 The Fan. Sixers come out on top by 4, 147-143. Second game in NBA history to feature 2 40-point scorers and another player with 20 assists. The other time it happened was in 1994 between the Magic and Warriors in overtime. 56 combined lead changes in this one, most in the game since 2014, and it's the Sixers that come out on top with the 4-point win. Joel Embiid had 42 points, his 11th 40-point game this season. Blazers and Pistons.
So Dame back in the game. Trying to put this one away for the Blazers. Gives it up to Reddish. Back to Dame up top. Catch and shoot 3 on the way. Buries it.
Damian Lillard in the game to restore order.
Rip City Radio, 620. Damian Lillard, 31 points, 13 rebounds, 12 assists. Third career triple-double, second this season after just one in his first decade in the association. Lillard leading the Blazers to the 110-104 win over Detroit. Both triple-doubles this season have been with 30 points or more. Heat with 130. They beat the Hawks by 2, 130-128. Jimmy Butler, 26 points in the win. Kings, a 123-108 win over the Pelicans. Kings have scored 120 or more in 7 consecutive games, tied for the second longest streak in franchise history. Pelicans, 12th seed in the West. Teams 9 through 12 all have the same record at 31 and 34. Speaking of the West, what next in Memphis? That's next. SportsCenter All Night continues. It's ESPN Radio.
Coming up Tuesday, I remember when the Celtics were the best team in the East, and then they lost to the Knicks. Then they lost to the Knicks again. We'll talk about that tomorrow on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, 6 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, E2, and ESPNU.
More SportsCenter All Night. Next. ESPN New York, everywhere. Whether you're driving in your car or riding the LIRR, ESPN New York is never out of reach.
We're going to try to touch as many of you as possible.
No matter your listening routine, never miss Stump Rothenberg for your morning run.
I have a lot of knowledge.
Never miss the Power Hour. Due to your power lunch. And never miss an ENN. Again. Hailing a cab, catching the train, or boarding a bus. The ESPN New York app is your ticket to ESPN New York everywhere. Download the app today.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-687-5192. That's 800-687-5192. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-687-5192.
I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I love Navage. I've told you about how your nose is the body's air filter, that Navage's powered suction will help flush out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, and that Navage will help you breathe better. But what do other people say about Navage? Like Haley, quote, Navage is the best thing I've bought. I love it. My nose feels so clear now and I can breathe. I've been struggling with a stuffy nose for weeks. I bought Navage and it's amazing. Or this one. I use Navage every night, could not imagine life without it. I have 5 cats, and before I found Navage, I was a clogged mess. Now I breathe so much better, unquote. Those are 2 of over 100,000 online reviews praising Navage, the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million people to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Target, Rite Aid, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose, healthy life.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you ordered a new air filter for your car. You try to install it, but it doesn't fit. So you take a little bit off the sides. But still doesn't fit? Well, you could try to sit on it. Or get it right the first time with eBay Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you know that part's going to fit. Air filters, brakes, headlights, over 122 million parts. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors, let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
The all-new Weekend Wager comes to 98.7 ESPN on Friday nights at 10 p.m. It's presented by MGM Sports. Don't be left out of the action.
SportsCenter All Night continues with Jay Reynolds.
We'll take you to Key, J, and Max. 6 o'clock Eastern time here on ESPN Radio. SportsCenter All Night is presented by Progressive Insurance.
Memphis Grizzlies announced today that Ja Morant will be away from the team for at least the next 2 games.
He has made 3 bad choices in a span of less than a year, and eventually you're going to run out of chances in this league. Basically one more chance, offer one more thing, and you're going to be out of this league. I mean, that's the reality of it here. Over the next 6 games, Memphis struggles during that stretch. They could easily find themselves down third in the Western Conference. What things have changed for Morant when he came into this league to kind of where he is right now?
Ja Morant not with the Grizzlies currently. Authorities in Colorado say they are investigating whether Morant may have broken any gun laws in the state. Of course, separate from the legal issues, there's the NBA standards. ESPN's Ramona Shelburne.
The collective bargaining agreement is pretty clear. A player is not allowed to possess a firearm on team facilities or while traveling on team business. And Adam Silver has carte blanche here. If this investigation concludes that A, that is a gun, B, that if it's his gun, the circumstances that he got it, the precedence here is Gilbert Arenas in 2010. David Stern suspended him indefinitely for bringing weapons to the Wizards locker room. We know that case is very different, obviously, than this Ja Morant case, but this will now sit with Adam Silver once that investigation is concluded and depending on what they find.
I guess the question now, Ramona, is where do the Grizzlies go from here?
You know, I was at the game last night with the Grizzlies and the Clippers. It was a close game. The Grizzlies had a lead. They ended up losing it in the fourth quarter. And it felt like a moment of normalcy, right, where they were talking just about a basketball game. But the Grizzlies, when you talk to them, to the players, to coaches, to people in their front office, they are approaching this as two ways. One, there is the support for Ja Morant, the person, and especially what he's going through as he seeks help. And two, there's the level of accountability. As Coach Taylor Jenkins said, we have to have a standard in our organization and around the league. And this is a league, as you know, 2015 participated in a series of public service announcements against gun violence. And so all of this factors into how the Grizzlies approach this, but it is at least 2 games. And as Taylor Jenkins said, this is not really a timetable situation. So the emphasis on at least, there's no timetable for his return.
Ultimately, the NBA likely to weigh in on the situation. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio. Speaking of basketball, let's turn to Steve Lennox. The top sounds from Monday.
Number 4.
Jay, hope you had the over for Sixers and Pacers Monday night. 2 teams combining for 290 points. Here's Tyrese Halliburton with a half-court shot to end the first half. The call, 1070, the Fan.
Indiana should get the last shot. Halliburton across the timeline. 3 seconds. And he buried it just before the expiration of time.
Number 3.
Furman on its way to the NCAA tournament for the first time since
So the emphasis on at least, there's no timetable for his return.
Ultimately, the NBA likely to weigh in on the situation. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio. Speaking of basketball, let's turn to Steve Lennox. The top sounds from Monday.
Number 4.
Jay, hope you had the over for Sixers and Pacers Monday night. 2 teams combining for 290 points. Here's Tyrese Halliburton with a half-court shot to end the first half. The call, 1070, the Fan.
Indiana should get the last shot. Halliburton across the timeline. 3 seconds to go. A long one from left of center. And he buried it just before the expiration of time.
Number 3.
Furman on its way to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 1980. Second half of the SoCon Championship, Mike Bothwell providing the exclamation point for the Paladins. The call from Upstate 97.7 FM.
Jonathan Moore, Merrill Daniel, Mike Bothwell, breakaway slam against pressure with 22 seconds to go to put an exclamation point on it.
Number 2.
Celtics and Cavaliers going to overtime in Cleveland Monday night, Jay, and Lamar Stevens came up with a huge 3 for the Cavs late in OT. The call, WTAM Radio.
Levert against Brogdon. Levert left corner. Stevens 3 on the way. Boom! Time! Cavaliers up 114 to 112. 2:05 to go.
Number 1.
Cavaliers ended up with a victory in OT against the all of a sudden scuffling Celtics. And Donovan Mitchell had this dunk. Mitchell finished his successful night with 40. Again, the call, WTAM Radio in Cleveland.
Donovan Mitchell into the forecourt. Mitchell with a stutter step, got by Brockton. Stopped it out! Oh, five! Wow! Oh, what a play by Donovan Mitchell. Gives him 40 on the night. I'm speechless.
Great night on the hardwood, including that Furman. Great story. First dance since 1980. Heck, Footloose was 84. Furman going dancing for the first time since 1980. ESPN analyst Tom Crean and Steve Wojciechowski.
Well, this Furman team is going to be a dangerous team in the NCAA tournament. Number one, they don't turn the ball over. So they're going to get a shot at the basket the vast majority of the time. And number two, this is an elite three-point shooting team, averaging close to 10 threes a game. And their two best players, Jalen Slauson and Mike Bothwell, they could play in any league in the country. This is a dangerous NCAA tournament team.
But Furman's the kind of team, they win the first one, they could definitely win the second one because that's a very hard prep to get ready for them, to get ready for their actions and their movement. And those are the kind of upsets that happen when you've got to get ready for somebody that shoots it, like Steve said, but does so many different things.
Champ Week continues on ESPN and ESPN Plus. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio, NFL. Derek Carr lands with the Saints. One of the options on the table for the Jets, ESPN analyst Louis Riddick.
If you trade for Aaron Rodgers, the number one thing you better know before you do that, given what the expectations are going to be, because you're not going to be able to manage them in this situation if you trade for him, because the expectation is going to be Super Bowl. Look, he's year to year at this point. So what are you bringing him in for? You're bringing him in to make a run at the Super Bowl in the already loaded AFC. So the number one thing you better know is this. When is he showing up? When we have him under contract, when's he showing up? Yeah. Because if he says the stuff he's been saying in the past, which is, I don't need the offseason, I can get up to speed at any time, and everyone else keeps saying he's the greatest of all time, he's the most talented of all time, he can show up in the offseason. Well, yeah, that's great for him. But what about Garrett Wilson? What about Elijah Moore? What about Breece Hall? What about all those guys who need his positive impact on the football team?
It was a week ago. Aaron Rodgers said he'd let his decision be known soon. Jets could look at Jimmy G as well. That'll do it for Sports Center all night. I'm Jay Reynolds. It's Tuesday, March 7th. Speaking of quarterbacks, birthday of Steve Berline, who's 57 today. So we await a decision from Aaron Rodgers. Today's decision day for the Ravens with Lamar Jackson. And the Giants have a decision to make with Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. KJ and Max have it all next at ESPN Radio.
Coming up next, Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max on ESPN Radio. Join us for our inaugural Pickleball Madness Tournament on Saturday, March 18th at the Agape Pickleball Center in Miles Square Park in Fountain Valley. The event is open to the public. Come press the flesh with the 710 team and watch them dink and lob all over the court. Bring the entire family and enjoy all the festivities starting at 10 a.m. We'll have TVs to watch the college basketball game, Pop-A-Shot competitions, pickleball demos, complimentary food, a beer garden, a kid zone, giveaways, and more.
Special thanks to our partners, Valvoline Instant Oil Change, One More Paddle, and Celsius.
Discover credit cards automatically double all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year, which means... Wait, hold up. Question for the audio engineer.
Go ahead.
Did I read that right? Discover automatically doubles all your cash back?
Yeah, that's what the script says.
So if I get a Discover card right now, I can earn twice the cash back.
Apparently. Wait! Unlimited first-year cash back match. Only from Discover. See terms and learn more at discover.com/match.
How long does it take to tackle a home project? With Angie, you could cross it off your list before this ad is over. Just tell us what you need. Indoor or outdoor, repair or redesign. And we handle the rest, sending a top pro to get it done. You don't have to lift a finger, except to tap the screen or click the mouse. Plus, Angie is free to use. So bring us your next home project, and we'll bring it home. Download the app or go to Angie.com. That's ANGI.com to get started.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks? Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone. Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Transitioning out of the military, it's difficult.
just about everything around you changes. I would get phone calls that brothers were dying, some of them to suicide. And I'd found myself in another cold cemetery. And I started to wonder if I was next. It's a struggle to know that you're facing challenges, but not be ready to face them. Sleep doesn't come easy. And when it comes, it doesn't last long. You're tired all the time. I didn't reach out for that help, but thank God my wife did. She got me registered for Wounded Warrior Project. Talking to somebody that would listen to me and understood my story helped me realize that it was time to change. There's a new fight. There's a new mission, and that's something I'm eternally grateful for.
See how we help warriors combat stigma at woundedwarriorproject.org/combat stigma.
In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the sheep sleep tonight. Oh, in the jungle, the quiet jungle, the sheep sleep tonight. Oh,
It just isn't the same without the lion. Join the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance today. Visit sdzwa.org.
Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. Covenant House is the national leader providing safe housing. And anything is possible.
So take the three. Buckle up. That says it all right there. Are you serious? Let the party begin.
Champ Week, presented by Principal, continues through March 12th on ESPN.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
Crypto.
Oh,
God.
stop.
What?
I thought we were talking about pancakes and
I was going to say, with your Bitcoin and all the other stuff, with your Bitcoin and all the other stuff that you do, can you buy pancakes with that from like IHOP or something?
Don't start doing that right now, King.
If there was an IHOP on my way home, I would stop there every day.
Come on.
Sleeping on the pallet, turning to a savage. I'm a project baby, now I stay in Calabash.
IHOP fire though, you just don't like the way it looks, so it don't look right to you aesthetically on the brick and mortar, so you don't really want to go in it.
No, I'll go in it.
Pull up in a demon on guard, looking like I still do fraud.
Yeah, I ordered a short stack. It's not even a question.
Oh, they pancakes,
question.
bacon on the side and the sausage and the whole
Best
thing.
pancakes I've ever had.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and ESPNU. We're presented by Progressive Insurance. Good morning, guys.
What up, yo, Key, real talk, real quick. Yo, does Kodak live in Calabasas?
Come on, man. What, I look like a city controller or something?
I'm just asking you. I'm asking for a friend.
You know what? To be honest, he a project baby, grew up in the projects, now he live in Calabasas. I don't know, man. The Calabasas is big, but yet still is small. There's a lot of different communities. He could be tucked in the hills somewhere in Calabasas. I personally,
I didn't know if it was one of those, every once in a while in Calabasas, you give, a brother a head nod, and that happened to be Kodak.
I would know. No, I would know.
Yeah, because he'd be in the whip, you know what I mean?
I would know it's him because I just would know. Like, I would know.
Well, there ain't too many yeses walking around.
No, but it would be a certain look. Got the rapper look, the dreads, probably a bunch of people with him, holding bags, shopping.
They're
you
in
just
the
wouldn't know.
produce section, Jay, he's got the celery and he's,
No, you would know, but he probably, he could be tucked in the hills somewhere, and I just don't know about it. But what I look like, the city controller, though? Like I'm
the city. You're the mayor, man. You're the mayor.
It's a lot.
You outside.
He's in charge of the census.
See, can you do you outside with the robe on in the front yard?
Oh, no, never that.
No?
I can't stand them people. Man, I can't.
Hey,
I cannot
good to see you.
stand them. The front line with the robe on and the waving you down, telling you to slow down, and you're not even speeding. Or looking at you as they water, they look at you as you go by. I hate that. That is the worst.
Maybe he just moved into the neighborhood.
But there's a lot of entertainment people that live in that particular area. So he could. I mean, okay. You'd be shocked though, Jay. That's all I can tell you.
All right.
It's yeah. It's
Any rappers live where you live, Jay?
No.
No rappers where you are?
No rappers.
Well, there's some rappers.
no.
In Connecticut?
Yeah, there got to be some rappers.
No, they would though.
There, yeah.
They would do.
Everybody's right here in New York.
Yeah, but some people have houses out there.
No, them rich people like Max, they
like-
get them big old houses out there in Greenwich.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
but he's not in Greenwich.
I'm not in Greenwich.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Same thing.
No.
It's in
Same
that direction.
Greenwich,
Same
of course,
thing.
It's not. It's not me.
Instead of
It's in that direction. You would live
same
in Greenwich
thing,
in a second.
Jay. Same thing.
I'm north of Greenwich, man. I'm not.
You
I
would
can't
live in Greenwich in a second.
Greenwich is not me.
Oh yeah.
It's the same
It's
thing.
not the same thing, man.
It's the sweater.
No, my town is a beach town, man. Don't do that to my town.
He thinks you have the ascot and the sweater tied around your neck and stuff.
That's
Why?
nah. You talking about like what?
You know who can afford a
You talking
house
like
in
Martha's
Greenwich or
Vineyard?
Calabasas?
Talking about Martha's
No,
Vineyard. That's not.
So you don't go. So you don't go sailing.
Talking sports.
No, I don't go sailing.
You've never gone sailing.
I've never gone sailing.
Have you ever
in
gone
my
sailing,
life.
Key?
In my life, I've
By
never
the way,
gone
sailing
sailing.
looks pretty good to me. Me neither, but it looks good.
I don't mess with stuff like selling. It's got to be like a motor yacht where I feel stabilized. You know, and selling stuff. You be like,
Too much rocking back and forth.
When a wave comes by, you're done.
And I can't
stationary.
swim. I can't swim, so I'm not.
Will you learn how to swim already? For crying out
take
loud!
swimming lessons.
World class athlete. It'll take you 5 seconds.
How you gonna be number one pick in
No.
a draft and not know how to float?
That wasn't part of the combine. Sorry.
Do you know how to float
It
in
was
the
part
water?
of the combine. You know how to swim.
Like if all went to hell, like would you know
Then
how to
I'm
just
going to hell.
float?
So what do you mean?
If all went to hell,
If all went to hell,
yeah.
Keith's going to hell. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, if all went to hell, it's a wrap. I mean, y'all might as well start getting obituary together and everything.
Just say,
Ain't nothing I
just
can
lay
do.
your head back and just float.
And then I'm a sink.
Have you ever tried to float? Ever?
If I can't touch the bottom, Jay, for the
Yeah, but-
900th
but
time,
I'm saying
not getting in.
You can still float in the shallow end, Key.
If you get in the deep end, you won't touch the bottom because you'll be floating. It's hard to touch the bottom, actually. You got to.
I don't want to get, but that's the whole point, Max, is I'm not getting in the deep end. I'm not getting anything that I can't touch the bottom. It's just not part of my DNA. Now my kids is a different story. They swim like fish.
Right. Yeah,
They
exactly.
they grew up differently. Me, on the other hand, I didn't necessarily have 50 cents to go to the local pool. Just wasn't part of the DNA. It was just. And then my older siblings didn't want to look after me when they went to the swimming pool, so I always was the one left behind because they wanted to go have fun, so I was just stuck. And I never.
If swimming was at the combine, Q would know how to swim.
If
Right?
swimming was at the
Yes,
combine,
facts.
I'd be
World class.
I'd be Michael Phelps.
Who was the
I'd
guy
be
back
Michael
in our
Phelps.
day again? Who was the original Michael Phelps?
Greg Louganis, maybe?
No, not Greg Louganis.
Why are you looking at me back in our day? I wasn't in your day.
Yeah,
Who was the main swimmer back in our day? Why is this out of my
years
head?
younger?
What do you mean?
You're like,
I think it wasn't.
Mark
It wasn't.
Spitz.
Mark Spitz. Yeah, Mark Spitz. Yeah.
What an interesting last name.
What's that? Yeah.
Anyway, moving forward.
All right, listen. You know who can afford to live wherever he wants nowadays, fellers? Derek Carr. Derek Carr signs a deal with Keyshawn Johnson's New Orleans Saints. This is one of your main teams, Key. New Orleans Saints. Financial terms were not disclosed, but sources told ESPN that Carr agreed to a deal that could potentially be worth up to $150 million. Okay, what's the deal actually? Just look at the guarantee. It's $100 million guaranteed. Up to $100 million guaranteed. What is up to? Oh, you mean if he hits certain incentives? But then is that really guaranteed?
No, the real money is $60 million.
$60 million guaranteed at signing, with another $10 million once he starts year 3 of the deal. So $60 million in the first two years of the deal.
Yeah,
That is surprisingly low, Keith.
Isn't that funny? He says the terms wasn't disclosed, but yet still you got all
You
the
hear all
information.
the terms weren't disclosed, but in week 16, if he can't, right? Yeah. But
yeah, $30 million a year for the first 2 years. He's $60 million. They give him 25 and some change this year. His base salary is about $1. I think his base salary is like 1.8. So the rest of the money is on the signing bonus. And then next year's 2024 salary is $30 million fully guaranteed. So that's $60 million. Then if he's on March 15th, the start of the new league year in his third year, he picks up another $10 million, which essentially gives him the $70 million over the first 2.5 years. And then he has a $50 million base salary that probably will not get exercised in his in his fourth year. They'll probably renegotiate if he's any good. And if not, he'll be moving on to another team.
I got to say, I don't love this. I don't hate it. It's just like the expression nonplussed. It means it just doesn't do anything for you.
But have you seen the division?
Yeah, I understand that, but like if I look at the Jets, I go, boy, they got so much. If they just have a good, competent quarterback, make a couple big third down plays, steady in the locker room, veteran leader, still in his prime, boy, that's just what the doctor ordered. They don't have to develop anyone. He's good now. He'll be good in a couple of years. That's who you need. They could like be a contender with that. When I look at the Saints, I go, the Saints are and Derek Carr kind of fits in, and I don't know if they're still kind of.
But why are the Saints?
Well, I would say the Saints had
for a little while.
They had injuries last year. You had Jameis Winston.
That's true.
Well, they had Jameis Winston for a handful of games.
That's what I said. They had injuries, and they had Jameis Winston.
And they weren't that good. They weren't great the year before.
Heavily injured. Both years, the last 2 years, they've been heavily injured. With no quarterback play. When you don't have a quarterback in the National Football League, your team is going to struggle. I mean, it's just the reality of it. I think this is a great pickup for New Orleans. I think this is one of the prize free agent pickups in the offseason so far, just because of the nature of the position that he plays for a team in a weak division that's loaded if they're fully healthy. Now, so the big question is if, right? When they are, if they're healthy, what's going to happen with those guys that were banged up in the lineup if they get them back? Will this be a different team? Their defense certainly is a solid defense. Their offense, when they're hitting on all cylinders, is good. And look, they won 7-8 games last year. It very could have been a 12-13 win team if it wasn't for the ball bouncing the other way at times. So I'm not going to sit here and say that this is signing